All right. In the last video, we learned the very basics of Redstone. In Minecraft, it's an energy source that works like electricity does in the real world. So we're going to go in a little bit more detail with that, with the goal of making some music and learning how to kind of turn things on and off automatically. And to do that, I'm going to talk about this item in Minecraft called the Redstone repeater. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop on. So this is a circuit playing some chords, in a little kind of rhythmic loop. And you can kind of see it's flowing in a direction and coming back around. But I'm gonna stop that and build one from scratch. Let's come over here. I talked a little bit last time about the direction that the energy, redstone energy flows, and it just flows away from the power sources. So a torch is a redstone energy source, and when you make a path with redstone, this kind of dust or powder that's just called redstone in your inventory, whichever way you make a path, the energy flows that way. So you can pick one of 4 directions or all 4 directions, and the energy will travel up to 15 blocks away. So how many is that so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So up to 15 blocks. On the 16th block, the power won't work. I can't turn that lamp on. But at 15, I can still power something. And what the redstone repeater will do, it does several things. But the first thing we'll look at is it'll extend that range. So if I put a repeater here, and the direction is important. So if the energy is flowing away from the torch, when I set the repeater down, I want it in a particular orientation. And so if you look at it from above, it kind of looks like a letter I. Or if let's put another one down here. Right. So kind of like a letter I. That'll be the long part. That'll be the top, the dot on top. The bottom of it here is the input. So the direction that the energy is coming from, has to go in. So the bottom is the input here. And when you place one, it's going to be, the bottom is going to be the side that's closest to your character when you place it. Okay, so now I can go another kind of 15. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right. So at the 16th, again, it fades out, but at a distance of 15 from the repeater, even though the repeater is not an energy source, it kind of boosts the energy coming from the torch. So I get another 15 blocks of distance. Okay. And so the direction that you set the repeater is really important again. So if I were to put it the wrong way, so the energy is coming this way, but if I put the repeater in backwards, the energy doesn't keep traveling. Same way if I did it from the side, that doesn't work. So it has to go with the flow of the energy. Okay, so, and you determine the flow of the energy when you you place the torch and you start putting down redstone in some direction, you're determining the energy flow. And so you just have to, put your repeaters down in a way that goes along with that. Similarly, right, it doesn't have to be a straight line. So I could take another path here, right? So I could do that. And again, it's still going to be 15 blocks of distance, even if I put a lot of turns in my path, right? You can see it starting to fade out. And, that's the 16th. So it's faded out. But again, I can put a repeater and then I can keep going. But, right, so I've changed directions, but right here, the direction is this way because I've made all these turns in the path. The direction's going this way. So that repeater has to go that way. It has to go with the flow of the energy. So, now I can keep going, put more turns in this path. Okay, so that is kind of the basics of the range part of the repeater. Another thing I want to look at, what I'm going to do is just take this apart. And I'm going to put a lamp here. And I'm going to put, let's say, a repeater, 2 repeaters here. 2. So another thing that repeaters do is they delay a signal or an energy flow. So, it extends the range, right? You see that lamp far off in the distance is lit up because there's a repeater in the middle. But they also delay the amount of time it takes from the signal to get from a source to something that you're trying to power. And the way to do that is by 1/10 of a second by default, but then you can change that. So when you right click on the repeater, that'll be 2/10 of a second delay, 3/10, 4/10. And then if you were to, put several repeaters in a row like this, you can kind of add to the delay amount. So that's 4/10. Now it's 5/10 of a second, 0.5 seconds, 0.6, 0.7. So that's 0.8. So now if I put a lamp here, right, and let's say I break the torch. Well, I actually broke the ground, but break the torch and then replace it. And then I want to kind of look at, let's look at this lamp and that far lamp at the same time. Place them. Okay, so even though that lamp is a lot further away, it turned on really quickly because there's only a 0.1 second delay with that repeater, and there's a 0.8 second delay with this repeater. And so the reason that happens is because there's something called redstone ticks, and so every 1/10 of a second, some redstone action can happen. And so I place the torch and the next sort of available redstone tick, everything that torch is connected to that's in range lights up at the same time. So this lamp actually lights up first, and then slightly later this lamp lights up, and then quite a bit later this one lights up, even though this one's the closest, right? Because this whole path lights up at once. Then this path lights up at once, but then there's 2 delays here, slowing the signal down. So that this lamp ends up lighting up, quite a bit later, right? So let's look at that again. And the same thing is true when I break the torch, right? Takes more time for that lamp to go out. And I put it down again, right? So the second function of the redstone repeater is it delays the amount of time it takes for the energy to travel, right? So extending range and, extending time. Okay. So, the next thing to look at is, before, I had like a loop running, making music. So the way to do that is, I'm going to make this path or any path that you want, kind of close it off. And what I'll do right now is kind of, instead of breaking this and, I'll just make a new one. Okay. So what this is right, a loop. And like the idea is I want the energy to flow around in the loop. And that was what was going on with this kind of musical machine that I had over there. And I'll make it a little bigger, actually. So, if I make it a little larger, I can put more stuff on it. Let's see. All right. So now what I want to do is I need to power it. And to do that, I just make a little kind of redstone trace off of it, and I can add a torch to it, and you can see it's powering the whole thing. Like this is small enough. Let me just put something on it to power, maybe a couple of things. So off of here, I'll do a lamp. And off of here, I'll also do a lamp. And why don't I just go for it and do this one too? Okay. And what I want to do is I want these to kind of turn on and off in sequence. So right now they're all powered by the torch, but I want them to flash on and off, and for it to just cycle without me having to do anything other than starting it. So to do that, what I want to do is add some repeaters, give some delay, and I could try it with one and then add more after to just kind of experiment. So let me do that. So for them to kind of blink, right? Like right now they're just on. We need them to be able to turn off and then turn back on again. So instead of just like a steady stream of energy, which is what this torch is giving right now, I want a short kind of pulse, short pulse of energy. And to do that, the quickest way that I've seen is to stick the torch on top of a block of redstone. So I just dug a little hole, put a block of redstone in, and stick a torch on top. And just to illustrate what happens to the torch, I'm going to put just another torch here and put one here. All right, so you notice that this one turned off, right? The block of redstone is also a power source. And when the torch itself receives power, it turns off. So this is like a power source that turns this off. And then I get a 0.1 second like energy pulse. Okay. So now, stuff flashed on and then it flashed back off. All right. So if I do that again, we can see it again. Okay. So I had one one kind of pulse go around. What I need is another repeater to kind of extend the range of this pulse so that it can go from this repeater and make it all the way back around to the input of this repeater. So from the output, let's go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's as far as that energy is going to travel, right? After I do this pulse, it's going to stop around there. So, I could put another repeater kind of, here or anywhere kind of before to just like extend the range, so that the output of this repeater hits another repeater, and it's able to get back around the circuit to keep this thing going. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna put it here. It's not quite 15, but I kind of like the symmetry. It makes it easier for me to visualize and track what's happening. So I'll do that, and I'll give that a 0.4 second delay also, just so it's really easy to see what's happening. All right, so break that and put another one down. Okay, so now we have lights flashing on and off. Okay, so if you notice, like, this whole side lights up and this whole side lights up, right? And they kind of alternate. So, these two lights come on at the same time, and this one is coming on right when those are off. And, the reason that's happening is because, right, there's the entire circuit, right, that is, right, this side of this repeater, right, the output from this repeater that is delayed, right, is lighting up the whole, everything within 15 blocks of the output of this repeater. And then the same thing here. It's a different timing, but this is the output of the repeater, right? Where the energy flows out. But it kind of turns on instantly on right, the redstone tick that is 0.4 seconds after it receives the energy flow from this repeater. And our original energy source, is not part of this anymore. You see it's off. I could break that, and right, it keeps running because the repeaters are taking the energy pulse that it got from here, and kind of continuing it between themselves over and over again. And if this loop were small enough, I could maybe do this with one repeater, but I couldn't connect as many things to it. So there we go. If I wanted to say I wanted to have these two lights activate separately, right? Like not at the same time, I could add another repeater just for the purposes of a delay, right? To make it so these two don't turn on and off at the same time anymore. And then you don't have to reconnect that and restart it, right? Now there's a sequence of 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so now I'm going to just go into the note blocks, right? The lamps make it really easy to kind of see what's happening, but the note blocks, right? They make sounds, right? They make sounds instead of light when they get some redstone energy. So if I put a note block there instead, I get this sound every time. And this is similar to the lamps. If you look at this, right, like I can do like a cluster of lamps, and right? The one receiving energy, right? The one that receives energy, any ones that are touching that one will also activate. Right? So I can kind of make a light cluster like that. Another thing, so the note blocks work the same way. And, I can, so just to demonstrate this again, right? Like if I were to put another lamp, actually I'm gonna put redstone, put another lamp there, right? That one is not directly touching the one that's receiving energy. So that one's not gonna light up. But a similar thing I can do with the note blocks. So I can, right? So I've got two separate note blocks, right? And then when you right click a note block, you can tune it. So I know they start on F sharp. And I know, I can make a fifth by right clicking on it 7 times. Right. So it's easy to make chords that way. And also, right, so what would a third be? That would be 4 right clicks. Okay, do 7th would be 11, major 7. Okay, so I've got like a chord going. I don't seem to be able to put a note block on top of another note block. Okay. Yeah. So, you can get clusters of 4 like this with the note blocks. So something I've been curious about. I haven't tried. Okay, that works. So I can have a light, make a cluster with a lamp and note blocks too. Okay. So another thing here about note blocks is, right, this is the sound that they make when they're sitting on top of grass, right? They make different sounds on top of different materials. So I'm gonna stick it on top of some stone this way. Okay, so different drum sounds. Stone makes a bass drum sound. Sand makes like a snare drum sound. Glass will make a sound that's kind of like a hi-hat, but I think that sound is also used in the game. So sometimes it sounds like just a switch being clicked or something too. So, but yeah, there's lots of different instruments, and I'll drop a link to those in the video description. There's also, there's lots of videos on YouTube where people are making really complex music this way. And I'll put links to a couple YouTube channels and playlists that I've been checking out that are doing, really elaborate music, like taking famous songs and, movie themes and things like that, and doing it in note blocks. there's a channel called like the Noteblock Lizard that does a lot of that and has tons of like Disney themes and original music. So I'll drop a link to that in the description too, if you're interested in more possibilities with this. So, all right, I think that's enough. Thanks a lot, and let's go build some stuff.